and claimed it was a hate crime.
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
They preached kindness, justice, and progress, but behind the scenes, their behavior told a very different story.
I have rights. I'm an American.
In today's world, being woke has become more than a mindset. It's a brand, a carefully curated identity celebrities wear to earn praise, loyalty, and power. But what happens when that mask starts to crack?
Repeatedly sexually assaulting her while she was working as his family's nanny and babysitter.
From toxic work environments and online bullying to allegations far darker than most fans could imagine, these public figures were once hailed as champions of change, until the truth started leaking out.
But I did not do this.
This is the shocking list of 10 celebrities who built their careers on progressive values, only to be exposed as the very opposite of what they claimed to stand for. And some of these names will genuinely surprise you. 10. Chrissy Teigen.
Probably the Obama thing.
For years, Chrissy Teigen was the internet's unfiltered sweetheart, a model, cookbook author, and social media star who proudly spoke out on issues like bullying, mental health, and body positivity. She positioned herself as the outspoken defender of the vulnerable, but behind the scenes, things looked very different. In 2021, disturbing DMs and tweets from Chrissy resurfaced, showing that she once told a then-teenage Courtney Stodden to go off yourself. Other people came forward with similar stories, painting Chrissy not as a champion of kindness, but as someone who thrived on cruelty when no one was looking. The backlash was swift. Major brand deals dropped her, fans turned cold, and Chrissy was forced into a public apology, more than once. She called it a time of reckoning, admitting she had been a troll under the guise of being funny and real. And just like that, the anti-bullying advocate was revealed to have been one of the worst offenders all along. But Chrissy wasn't the only one living a double life. 9. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf built his adult image around rebellion and art, not just as an actor, but as a symbol of resistance. He co-launched the He Will Not Divide Us project during Trump's presidency and made headlines for his outspoken views on politics, inequality, and injustice. But while he was screaming about unity in public, his personal life was in absolute chaos. Multiple former partners came forward with disturbing allegations, including claims of manipulation, emotional abuse, and violent behavior. One high-profile case involved singer FKA Twigs, who accused LaBeouf of extreme cruelty during their relationship. He also had a string of arrests and public meltdowns, including one caught on camera where he spewed hateful language during a drunken rant.
I have rights. I'm an American. Come on, talk to me.
Though he's since claimed to have turned to religion and is trying to rebuild his life, Hollywood hasn't exactly welcomed him back with open arms. Because while activism may grab headlines, it doesn't erase what people do behind closed doors. 8. Meghan Markle. And speaking of public image versus private behavior, the next name wore a crown, but couldn't avoid the criticism. Meghan Markle was once hailed as a breath of fresh air in the outdated British monarchy. A modern woman, a humanitarian, a feminist voice standing up to the old ways. She gave speeches about climate change, mental health, and social justice. But her actions didn't always align with her words. Critics quickly pointed out the hypocrisy of delivering climate change speeches while flying around the world on private jets. Then came reports from royal staff accusing Meghan of fostering a toxic workplace, despite her advocacy for mental wellness and employee dignity. Even her Netflix special was criticized as tone-deaf, with lavish visuals and privileged commentary that didn't quite match the progressive image. Whether you love her or hate her, one thing became clear. Meghan's message often clashed with her methods. 7. Lena Dunham. Sometimes the contradictions run even deeper, especially when the activist turns out to be the accused. Lena Dunham built her reputation as a feminist voice in Hollywood.
Fascinating sort of debates.
Through her show Girls and her newsletter Lenny Letter, she spoke boldly about gender, power, and equality.
Have to be a big deal for you, but it is for me.
But it didn't take long for her own words to betray her image. In 2017, when girls writer Murray Miller was accused of assault, Lena immediately rushed to his defense, saying she had insider knowledge the claim was false. The backlash was instant. Many called her out for believing victims, until the accused was her friend. She later apologized, but the damage was done. It wasn't the first time either. Her memoir included childhood anecdotes involving her sibling that left readers deeply uncomfortable. And in 2016, she faced massive backlash for joking she wished she'd had an abortion, just to better empathize with others. For someone who claimed to speak for all women, her record showed otherwise. 6. Amber Heard. Next, a name you probably didn't expect, with a history most fans never saw coming.
Secret court battle over embryos.
Amber Heard stood at the center of one of the most controversial celebrity trials of the decade. Once viewed as a symbol of bravery for speaking out against Johnny Depp, she was embraced by the #MeToo movement and praised for her humanitarian work. But the courtroom flipped everything. Evidence revealed that Heard may have been abusive herself, leading to a public shift in support. Recordings, texts, and witness testimonies portrayed a toxic relationship, but not one-sided. When Depp won his defamation lawsuit, Heard's credibility took a nosedive. Even Me Too founder Tarana Burke had to clarify that Amber's case did not define the movement, a sign of just how far her image had fallen. 5. James Franco. And next comes a Hollywood star whose charm couldn't save him from the consequences. James Franco always seemed like one of the good guys in Hollywood. Smart, politically aware, and openly supportive of LGBTQ+ rights. He spoke about equality, wore the #MeToo pin, and even taught acting classes meant to empower young talent. But then, several of those students accused him of exploitation. In 2018, multiple women claimed that Franco had used his power inappropriately, particularly during acting workshops, where he allegedly pressured students into uncomfortable situations. Franco denied the claims, but eventually settled a lawsuit. His career came to a standstill, and while he later admitted to being addicted to validation, the damage to his woke image was already done. 4. Neil Gaiman. But the next name is even more surprising. A literary legend who secretly fell from grace.
Author, screenwriter, storyteller.
Neil Gaiman was revered not just for his writing, but for what he stood for: inclusion, representation, and justice. His works, like The Sandman and Good Omens, celebrated diversity, and he was a vocal advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and refugee support. But in 2024, multiple women accused Gaiman of misconduct, including a former tenant and even a nanny. The allegations included sexual assault and abusive behavior, shattering the carefully built image of a thoughtful, enlightened creator.
Repeatedly sexually assaulting her while she was working as his family's nanny and babysitter.
He denied the claims, and his fan base remains divided. But the fall of such a trusted voice left a bitter taste. 3. Ellen DeGeneres. Now, we enter the top 3, where hypocrisy reaches its peak. Ellen DeGeneres was once a beacon of light in daytime television, openly gay, charming, quirky, and a proud promoter of kindness. Her motto, "Be kind," became a brand, and millions tuned in to escape their stress through her feel-good show. But in 2020, it all unraveled. Behind the scenes, employees described a toxic work culture full of fear, discrimination, and mistreatment. Ellen, who claimed to stand for kindness, was accused of turning a blind eye and even contributing to the hostile environment. The backlash was brutal. Ratings dropped, celebrities distanced themselves, and eventually, the show was canceled. It turns out, being kind isn't about what you say on camera. It's about how you treat people when no one's watching. 2. Jussie Smollett. But while Ellen's mask slipped, the next celeb built his entire downfall on a lie.
And claimed it was a hate crime.
But I did not do this.
Jussie Smollett had everything: talent, a loyal fan base, and a reputation as a rising voice for justice. So when he claimed he had been attacked in a racist, homophobic assault in 2019,
I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
the world rallied around him. But then, things started to fall apart. Investigators found that Smollett had staged the entire incident, paying 2 men to carry out the fake attack. He was charged and convicted of filing a false police report, and his story quickly turned from one of survival to deception. It was one of the most bizarre cases of celebrity hypocrisy. 1. Kanye West. And finally, Kanye West.
I like the most are controversial to other people.
Kanye West once called out President Bush for not caring about black people. He was the loudest voice in the room when it came to injustice and systemic racism. His music was revolutionary, his influence undeniable, and his activism inspiring. But the Kanye of today is almost unrecognizable. From harassing Kim Kardashian to wearing White Lives Matter shirts and making anti-Semitic remarks, Kanye's descent has been both dramatic and disturbing. He aligned himself with far-right extremists, spread conspiracy theories, and turned his back on the very communities he once claimed to uplift. The man who once demanded change became the one pushing hate. What's more dangerous than a hypocrite? A hypocrite with influence. Each of these celebrities built their brand on change, on values, on righteousness. But when their actions came to light, they exposed a disturbing truth, that for some, wokeness isn't about progress. It's just PR. Do you think celebrities should be held to a higher moral standard when they speak out on social issues? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more exposés like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next one.